times when I go on Instagram and I see those really cute couple pictures, I always think how there are probably like 200 pictures behind the scenes, really awkward and clumsy moments, before they finally got that one perfect post. One picture. One representation of a very complicated, dynamic interaction between two completely different people, both in search of what we all want, to be loved. And I hope that those pictures, those posts, do genuinely represent how they love and treat one another, because that was very much not the story behind my posts. When I was in high school, I met my first boyfriend. He was charming and kind. He made me feel safe and accepted. And he loved me so much that he wanted to spend all of his time with me and began isolating me away from my friends. So when I defied him and chose to hang out with my friends instead of him, the public outbursts only increased from there. He would lash out in front of my friends and teachers. People would assume that we were fighting, that it was my fault. But most of the time, I had no idea why he was so upset. But I wanted to be supportive, so I made up excuses for him every time. But after 9 months, it was becoming too much. I became depressed from the constant isolation, the constant belittling, and just the volatile nature of our relationship. I walked on eggshells, so afraid he would lash out on me again if I did or said anything wrong. Something in my gut told me I needed to communicate how uncomfortable I was. And when I did, he screamed, "Sorry you feel that way, but that's your problem, not mine." And his words slapped me in my face. Was I really just oversensitive? Somehow, I became responsible for his actions. Somehow, it was my responsibility to change my behavior, to be better, so that he would stop hurting me. But then, one day, something tragic happened. 2 of my best friends attempted suicide within the same year. At the time in high school, mental health and its resources were never discussed. So this was my first encounter with it. I didn't realize that mental health was far more complicated than just feeling down. But I did know one thing, and that one thing was that as their best friend, I had failed in being enough for them. I failed. Just like how I failed at being enough as a girlfriend. I broke down because I couldn't process the shock of what happened to my friends. And when I desperately needed his support, he screamed at me, "Well, they weren't actually gonna die anyways. You're literally dragging yourself down with their problems. Just focus on school." What? My friends almost died. He wanted me to just focus on school. I soon realized that I couldn't go to him anymore, and I felt extremely alone. It was becoming incredibly difficult to keep breathing anymore, because the weight of those bricks on my chest and my shoulder made it extremely suffocating and painful to just breathe. I was dancing on these shards of glass, laughing and crying at how numb I felt to everything around me. How was I so overwhelmed with emotion, yet extremely apathetic at the same time? So I began self-harming. Hurting myself liberated me from the nightmare I was living. It gave me a sense of control again. It was a temporary peace, and escape. But one day, he saw those red raised stars and he forcefully grabbed my wrist, and with these coldest eyes, he screams at me, "Why are you still upset? Everyone has their insecurities and issues. Get over it." I felt extremely humiliated. I needed help, but instead, I just wanted to die. But I couldn't, because I believed he still loved me. Because if he stayed with me through my depression, my self-harm, all those breakdowns, then he must truly love me, because who else would want this broken girl? But this was not love. This was about power and control. As he chipped away at my self-esteem, I became a perfect target for him to exploit my vulnerabilities. And growing up, I didn't understand the difference between love and control, because I was also abused by my stepdad's family. And that experience gave me nightmares for years. As a result, I thought the conflicts in my relationships were normal, just like how any other couple thought. But it wasn't until he physically hurt me that I realized I needed to leave. But the signs, the red flags of emotional abuse warning me, they were there all along, escalating up to this crucial, pivotal moment of realization, but I just realized it too late. I didn't feel safe with him, but I also didn't feel safe without him. My spirit broke, and I just wanted to disappear. So I worked my butt off, and I got into my dream school at Hopkins. Woo! And I thought achieving my dreams and running away as far from home as possible would let me start over again. My problems would be far behind me, things would be great. But I was so wrong, because my mental health was far from okay. Within the first couple weeks of freshman year, I drank away my sorrows. I would wander the streets of Baltimore alone and extremely drunk, hoping that I would black out and never wake up. I'd sit alone in my room when my roommates went home, wondering how can I kill myself without her there. And I would chuckle on the way to class, thinking, well, I don't know when or how I would die, but I know it'll be at my own hands. Because I hated myself. What meaningful qualities did I even have left? But one day, I met this girl. And as the way she talked about her boyfriend, I saw how her body tensed up. Something within me sensed something wasn't quite right. As we became closer friends, she told me of the excuses she'd make up for him, the outbursts she had to endure when she would hang out with other friends, the names he called her, the lies he would craft just when she would try to express how uncomfortable she felt. Those same signs of emotional abuse, the same visceral uneasiness and fear I saw in her eyes, all behind the same justification that it's okay because he loves me. And having gone through this experience myself, I realized how crucial it was to help her recognize the signs of abuse before it was too late. So I asked her, how does it feel when he treats you this way? when he calls you those names. She knew her situation the best. And I'm sure that deep down she knew what she needed to do, but was just too afraid to believe in her strength. But after giving her a safe space to reflect without any judgment, over time she became empowered enough to leave that relationship on her terms. She reclaimed back her autonomy. And for that, I am so proud of her. For the next couple months, we shared our experiences, delving into the unhealthy behaviors we initially didn't recognize. And for the first time, I wasn't alone. For the first time, someone out there understood exactly how I felt. Her empathy was the greatest gift in helping me move forward. I learned that it was okay to feel the hurt. And yes, my vulnerabilities were taken advantage of in the past, but you know what? It was the same vulnerabilities that built that trust and understanding with my now best friend. In my sophomore year, I learned to trust more people, and I found a support system when I joined A Place to Talk. I became a peer listener on campus, trained in empathetic active listening and mental health first aid. The community I found in A Place to Talk genuinely cares about each of our well-being. It gave me a safe space to be vulnerable. There really are good people out there. During my training, I often reflected on my trauma, and I remember in high school, people would often undermine my experiences, saying it's not that serious because it's just high school. Or how they couldn't believe how someone so seemingly kind and charming as him could be possibly capable of such cruelty to someone they claimed they loved. For most of the time, people would just tell me to break up already. They didn't understand just how difficult it was to free myself from that psychological control. But how was I supposed to know what healthy love did look like? Because growing up, I was abused by my stepdad's family, and their cruelty and violent attacks conditioned me to believe that I am worthless. I deserved it. That was the best I'll get. As a result, if I got anything more, that was the best that I should take it. And the thing about abuse is that I was under a spell. So desperate for that same love and acceptance from my ex that I didn't get from my own family growing up. That I was blinded from seeing he was treating me the same way that I was being abused. But I refused to accept this truth. I couldn't confront it, and so I pushed away everyone who actually was trying to help me. After many, many years of self-reflection and lots of ups and downs, I learned to focus on gratitude rather than guilt. I'm so extremely grateful to my mom, my family in Thailand who've accepted and loved me even though we're an ocean away, and my best friends from high school and college, some of whom even flew out to be with me here tonight. Thank you for your unconditional love, support, and loyalty, no matter how many times I try to push you away, because you saved my life and you mean the world to me. I've only recently found the strength to share my story. And when I did, I learned that my story is not uncommon. many of my high school and college friends, both women and men, have or are experiencing emotional abuse that have led to serious mental health and even safety concerns. We all saw how cute and happy they looked on Instagram. 94% of us claim we will never perpetrate violence against our partners. Yet 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will experience intimate partner violence in their lifetime because we stay silent about this issue. Young women ages 16 to 24 are 3 times more at risk. But today, I won't stay silent. As an ambassador for One Love Foundation, I join a community striving to raise awareness in educating our young people about healthy and unhealthy relationships. One Love was founded by a mother whose daughter was tragically beaten to death by her own boyfriend when she was a senior at the University of Virginia. She was 22 years old and only 3 weeks away from graduation. As a result, One Love strives to end this public health epidemic and ensure that no one ever falls victim to that same tragedy. Love is so romanticized in our media that we often normalize its unhealthy behaviors. We disregard them as just entertainment, but we don't consider the real consequences it has on real people. We all want love, but no one teaches us how to love or how to be loved. And the biggest challenge after an abusive relationship is learning how to embrace healthy love again, because we're all deserving of that. I hope that my story emphasizes to parents, educators, families, friends, and everyone in here the serious need for raw and honest conversation about how we treat each other, whether that be in relationships with family, with friends, mentors, or romantic partners. I encourage you to listen with an open heart and an open mind, and don't be afraid to ask the important questions, because you never know when it can save a life. I know we're all human. I know we're not perfect. We make mistakes. We unintentionally hurt other people. And those mistakes don't mean that we're bad or abusive people. However, becoming aware of the signs of abuse, particularly the nuances of emotional abuse, and being mindful of our interactions with other people can help build a stronger community in ending this violence. Thank you.